Alright, so first off, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kakodash. Give honors to the apostles, teachers that rule well of Great Millstone. Shalom to you brothers out there pushing the word of the Lord in sincerity and in truth. I think I will name this one something along the lines of that time has come. So, as you all know, today would be the 250th anniversary birthday of a certain kingdom on the planet. You know, which, of course, they're going out with their celebrations and thing, but what they don't know, or what they should know, is that it is very close to that time when said empire or kingdom should go down. Right? It's a time now they have reached the time that that usually kingdoms last, and it's time to transit into the other kingdom, right? Which in this case will be the kingdom of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. This is Matthew 24 and verse 3. It said, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privily, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? Salakia. Right, I'm going to other scriptures that that give you, what you should look for, but you have to be watching. The scripture say, I'm gonna get that in testimonies too. He say, of the times, virgin, I have no need to write unto you, for yourself know perfectly that the day of the Lord comes as a thief in the night. Right? And you see, you have to keep these precepts in mind, right? And you gotta continue watch and pray. That they don't overtake you as a thief in the night. And these little things, these are the details, because the scripture said not even Yahushua himself don't know the exact day, right? The exact hour, but we got to keep watching for the signs that we're given, for the hints that we're given, the things that we need to watch for. And I'll go into some right here now. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So we see the wars and the rumors of wars. No, that is a sign. That is a sign that Yahushua told us to look out for. Right? I got an article here I asked the chat, a question that I want to bring out the answer. I'm gonna get it. Just a sec. So I asked the chat, what is the typical lifespan of an empire? Now, be careful how you word this when you ask him. Then ask in the chat, because it's very specific. I know it answers. So he said the typical lifespan of an empire is historically estimated to be roughly 220 to 250 years. We all know what year it is for a certain empire. So studies analyzing historical. Alright, let me just go over that again. It says studies analyzing historical data from thousands of years of civilization show that imperial lifetimes often follow a predictable bell curve through expectations exist that lasts significantly longer or shorter. That exception, exists that lasts significantly longer or shorter. Now, do mind the question I asked about is the typical, right, lifespan. So if you put average, you might get a different response because it's going to do the math between ones that last long, that it considers to last longer, and shorter. Case in point, if you type in what was the lifespan of the Roman Empire, then you will see something among about 1500 years. Now that data right there is questionable. You have to be careful because the Roman Empire actually lasted only 200 years, right, or 190 something years, right? And historians would say, no, the Roman Empire continued. No, but you see, you have to be careful, as I said, because Rome, as we know it from Augustus Caesar, was drastically changed by a man by the name of Septimius Severus, right? And from Augustus Caesar to Septimius Severus, I think it was 193 years, if I'm not mistaken. And that was actually the fall of the Roman Empire when Septimius took it over, right? Because he took it by force with an army, right? And then everything changed from then, right? And then it started to turn into the whole Roman Empire, which was totally different from the Rome that was ruled by Augustus and Julius and Nero all the way down, right? So you have to be careful with information. So the truth is, Roman Empire actually lasted only 200 years. Yeah, that's the truth. So the average, the typical years for the empire is 220 to 250 years, right? Now the maximum being 250, and we are at that point right now with this New Babylonian Empire, right? But that's just I'm just adding that in to let you know that hey, the time is short, right? Among other things that we're seeing, right? If you've been following what's going on in the news, what's going on geopolitically, right? You know about even America now is readying up for their CBDC. Right, you have countries like Jamaica that have made it legal tender, but that's the route we're traveling, right? And there are other things that are happening, like case example. Let's get this second Ezra 9 first. Then I can speak a bit about that. Alright, this second Ezra 9 and 1, it says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the times, and when thou see a part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world that he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shall let me get this one. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world has a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonders and powerful works and endings in signs, in effects and signs. Now, we all know about the earthquake that happened last week in Venezuela, and of course I think it was a week before that, or 2 weeks before that, in the Philippines. So you see these earthquakes, and the uproars among the people. We've been having all sorts of uproars from in the 2010 come up. There have been a lot of protests, right? Uproars of the people. But the truth is, it's gonna get worse than that, right? Because you have other things now in the pipeline that people are gonna go crazy about, right? I mean, most people have been their backs in the big C, but there are things that people are gonna get crazy about, like when they try to get rid of certain age cars off the road, and that's all a car that a man can afford, right? They try to get rid of them, through discouragement in terms of law, in terms of motor vehicle laws. or new laws in terms of emissions and stuff like that, they're gonna find a way to get rid of them, right? And people gonna go crazy. People gonna make uproars. It's gonna be wild. Right? And that's the time that we're moving into. Right? The more things go down is the worse things gonna get. Right? The scripture talk about and you see Matthew had before. Men's heart waxing cold. Right? That just the other day, was it a couple of days ago? You know, there was this man that's raiding this other man's farm. And the owner of the farm came to him to tell him that, don't raid my farm. And while he was leaving out of the man's property, the man hacked him to death. Hacked him into the third. Right? He was ghosted. So you see men's heart waxing worse and worse, more and more evil. That's the time that we live in. Right? And it's not gonna get any easier. But you see, these are the things that you have to look at to know the time that you're in. These are part of the signs of the season that you're in. Right? The earthquakes, them storms one behind the other. How evil people are getting, like how far this age has run. Right? And the wickedness that's taking place. Look at them steam engine files. And what came out of them. Them videos. And what's happening? Nothing. The governing bodies of this world are doing nothing about it. Right? Because most of them are either into it or they just don't care. But you see, these are the things that you have to watch to know the time that we're in. Right? Yeah, I think I'm going to do this one short and end it there. Until the next one. Shalom.